Hey planner friends, how's it going? Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. My name is Ryan and this is A Man with the Plans. And sorry for the different setup here, different color countertop. I'm at my parents' house in New York. My brother is off camera. He's waving at you, you just can't see it. Hi Dylan, bye Dylan. And today we are back to do my July budget. So I went ahead and pre-filled all this in before I left. I figured it'd be easier not to travel with all these extra kits since I'm gonna have a lot of them anyway. But so we're gonna go through the usual budget shenanigans like we always do, the income, the fixed expenses, the variable expenses, my debt tracker, and my sinking funds. And then we'll wrap this up. I wanna just let you know that I'm using this kit right now from JT Creations. They were nice enough to send this to me ahead of time. I will leave a link down below to their Etsy shop. They have some really fun stuff. I've used the June kit before of theirs. So without further ado, let's go ahead and flip this over and I'll zoom you guys in a little bit and we can talk about some of the numbers. Finalize the second quarter debt payoff video. That will be coming your way at some point this month too. But now that June is over with the 3 paychecks and everything, we can go ahead and just move right into the normal schedule. So paycheck number 1 for my day job is the same as it's always been, 1862, and that's for both of them. And I'm going to estimate that my side hustle, which for those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. I am a single individual living in Minneapolis, Minnesota, working through the Dave Ramsey baby steps. I'm currently on baby step number 2. But I also have a side hustle. I am a project manager / integrator for an online business for a really good friend of mine. I will leave a link to heyjenkc.com down below. So I work for her about 15 to 20 hours a week, and so I just budget in this number after taxes, and as a contractor I'll need to keep those away. And then the last thing for income this month is going to be my transfer. And when I say transfer, my parents and I made an agreement when I went off to school that they would transfer part of my student loan amount over to me if I went to a state school. And so that $300 would be half of the minimum payments for my student loans. I only have one left, and we'll talk about that later on in the video. That is all of the income streams that I have currently. What you won't see is any affiliate link or any of the YouTube earnings. I like to keep that completely separate and not as part of my income stream. I just like to keep that separate for now, and I figured sort of after this first year of being sort of monetized and thinking how that could work, I'll really consider what it should look like. I know some people make an LLC or something like that, but more info on that as we go. If you're curious, we can talk through that, I guess, in a different video. So let's go ahead and move along here. The next thing that we've got is the fixed expenses. So these are the expenses that do not change, and so we'll never have to wonder if they're different or not unless something strange sort of happens. And so I've written them down here. We've got rent, internet, sinking fund, car, and student loans. And so I included the minimum payments for each of these because that's the base amount that's non-negotiable going out every single month. For my rent, the budgeted amount is $14.87, which I just had my renewal conversation and they're gonna be raising that a little bit, so I'm gonna have to think about that moving into October. My budget will shift a little bit for there. The next thing is internet. I use CenturyLink, and that's $64.95. The next thing here are my sinking funds. So I have a Capital One 360 account that has money transferred directly every month out of it, and it sits there. And the cool part is that it's interest bearing, so I will leave a link down below to the Capital One link, and also a video up in the card if you're interested over there. And I will tell you all of my sinking funds that I actually manage, which is pretty cool. They're all lumped into one category, but I use them for a variety of things. You can look into that video to see more of it. There will be some changes there too, since I'm going to be adding my car insurance as an expense moving forward. So that number is $180 in the current calculation, but that could change in the future. The next thing is my car payment. So the minimum payment here is technically $347 a month. However, I decided that I would be close to doubling that every month as a minimum. So I made the non-negotiable setup $600 every month to be able to move forward with that. So that's gonna be what goes in every single month towards my car, which we're getting really close to the end here. It's been a long journey. I paid off my first student loan back in November, so we've really been throwing everything we can at the car. We're so close. And then the last thing here are my student loans. I have one large student loan left that's sitting right around $25,000, which we can talk about in a little bit. But what I do there is the minimum payment here is $461.35. So we have that all taken care of. And when you add all these expenses up, the total comes to $2,793.30. So hopefully that stays on target and we won't have to worry about any of those expenses fluctuating. However, moving down a little bit, we have the variable expenses. And so these are the ones that fluctuate and change, and you'll notice that there is an additional thing here for my New York trip. While this trip was technically to visit family, I actually have a lot of things that I've been doing for work, so this is really considered a work trip for my side hustle. We had a site visit yesterday, which was really, really great, and I'll have some vlog footage of that. But so going through here, I wanted to be mindful of the fact that I'm going to be having some extra fixed expenses, and I didn't want to assume that groceries and my utilities would go down necessarily while I was away, because I am going to be gone until the 11th of July, so it's a big chunk. So I just kind of kept things the same, but added an additional expense column, so that's just something to keep in mind. The first thing we have here is gas. I'm going to budget this at $100. I'm almost positive we won't need that much gas, because I haven't been driving as much as I thought, but it's just good to have. The next thing is groceries, and I took $25 off because I just figured $2.25 seems like a good amount. The other thing is that while I won't be spending money on groceries while I'm at home visiting my family, I also cleaned out my fridge, so there's a couple of things that I normally stock up on that I'm going to need to replenish, so that's just me sort of making up for that. The next thing is restaurant, a category I've consistently struggled with, but I'm going to put $100 in there. And this would be separate from the New York trip, so anything that I do in the New York trip category will be obviously included in there, and that includes food and the LA and a taxi or something like that, you know, if I end up in the city more often than I think I would be. So speaking of the New York trip, I budgeted $250. Ordinarily, I could pull this from my sinking fund, but I'm not going to this time. I'm gonna kind of just flat out walk it over, because, you know, I feel like this is just the right thing to do, and that money is earmarked for other things later in the year. The next category is personal, which I have at $200, which I feel like is higher than normal, but in the math that I did, it just seemed to work out that way. Moving on down the line, the next thing that I have there is YouTube, and so I'm gonna estimate this at $75. So this is for sticker kits, website hosting. There's a couple of software programs that I use, like Canva, and also TubeBuddy, that are things that are a recurring expense that I use that help me out with my channel. If you're ever curious to know about some of those things, I can make a video on like kind of how I structure all of these videos. Let me know in the comments down below if that would be something you're interested in. The last two things are related to utilities. So UMS is the utility management system. This is like water, sewer, and trash, I believe, and so this has been pretty consistent around $30. So I have a feeling it might be more towards $40. And then the last thing is my energy bill through Excel, and I feel like with the heat that's been striking Minnesota lately, I left my air conditioning set to, I think it's like 74 with the blinds down, so I'm hoping that it doesn't really impact too much, but I'm gonna estimate that when I get back, I'm gonna be wanting to be a little bit cooler than that, so I'm gonna put it at 70. So when you add up these two expenses together, you get $3,853.30. If you take this number here and subtract it from, oh, I didn't do the total income, silly. That is $4,774. So you take this number and we subtract this from that, the grand total left over as planned in the budget will be $920.70. So the cool thing here is that if we're able to do this right, we'll not only be paying $600 towards my car, but we'll be able to put an additional almost $1,000 towards my car next month. Well, this month, which I think is super cool. And as you can see, we're getting super close to the end with my car loan, and so I'm really excited to make that progress. And speaking of which, perfect time to flip over. And so you can see here we've got the sinking funds and the debt tracker. So again, this is what I love about the kits from JT Creations, is they set all this up. I also love the Caffeinated Kate ones too, but this has just been working for me. It's what I had on hand, so I go back and forth. All right, so now it's time for the debt tracker. Who's excited? So let's see here. We'll start with my car. The starting balance for my car at the end of June, we managed to get the loan down to $1,981.60. That's crazy. That is some crazy, crazy stuff. I'm so excited that that number is a 1 in front. And then the crazy part is at the end of this month, we're gonna lose a digit if we do it right. Holy moly, like I'm super excited. Like I talked about, the minimum payment will be $600. The extra payment could potentially be up to $920. And what I do with the comments is leave the due date down here, which normally I think I pay it on 7/7. This is my snowball. There's a video about my debt snowball actually, which talks a little bit more about all the things that happened and how I've gotten here, because it's not just 2 debts, it was like 7, 8 when I started. If you are interested in that, you can go ahead and take a look at that. I'll leave it linked there. But it's just crazy sometimes I feel like in the day-to-day the progress is super slow, but then when you see these numbers, they don't lie, right? So like my student loan being paid off back in November was kind of ridiculous. I was so shocked that we made it. It just seemed like we weren't moving. And then now this, it's like my car is almost gone. And so when you get to the end of that snowball, it really is picking up and you're really just chunking debt. You're able to put so much money from the whole way, right? So, $25 rolls into the $80. Then the $105 rolls into the next, $200. So now you've got $305 on top of the next one. And so at the end, there's some crazy amounts of money you're putting towards debt, so you can really melt those last ones down, which is so exciting. But anyway, let's talk about my last loan. It is with Great Lakes borrowers, which they've actually been totally fine. And the current balance, the payoff balance, is $25,349.91. And the minimum payment, as I mentioned, is $461.35, and this is due on 7/13. So just sort of a normal thing that is always in there that we have to keep track of. That's just one of the things that comes through automatically, and it'll be really exciting to take all of the effort we've been putting towards my car, and once that's done, I really start to melt this. Like seeing that $1,000 number go down and then seeing the 2 go to a 1 and then the 1 just disappears, like it's some really, really exciting stuff. Not a whole lot here. I'll be excited to put the extra payments and ending balance in there as well, and then we'll also do the June report as well to talk through that. You can see that coming to my channel coming up soon. So then the last thing here are the sinking funds. And so these are generally what the sinking funds are for. And so instead of going through and adding all of the amounts, I haven't done that yet, but what I did do is pull up and that the other thing that I love about the Capital One 360 is that I was able to pay for some expenses right through my Capital One account. So it never even had to cross my checking account, and it was never a problem, which I think is so freaking cool. So I was able to pay for my car tabs, $220, and so now that ending balance is at 0 and the comment is renewed, but my total sinking fund balance right now is $826.57. So some of that's for Go Wild, some of that's for medical, some of it's for Christmas, some of it's for travel. Car maintenance is the lower one because we had some car maintenance things done, earlier in the year back in April. But that's generally what my sinking funds look like. I haven't parsed it out yet. It's kind of just a slush fund, right? So as an expense comes up, like when I'm gonna book my flight home for the holidays or I'm gonna get a Christmas gift, I'm just gonna deduct it from this account. And it actually came with its own debit card, which is kind of neat. So I'm a really big fan of the Capital One. But so I think that's gonna wrap up this video. Let's open up the spread back up. So I love the way things are looking here. We're making some progress. I'm really excited to try and stick to this even with my trip back to my family's place in New York. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. It does help the channel out. If you haven't yet subscribed to this video, go ahead and click that red subscribe button so you can see my videos in your feed every time they're published. You don't have to miss a minute of the budgeting action. Leave a comment down below of what sort of expenses you're planning for and what things you use for sinking funds. I'm always curious to know because I feel like I'm missing a bunch. But you can find me on all sorts of social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, all at A Man With The Plans. And until next time, planner friends, hope you guys are making some fiscally smart choices and having a great month of July. See you later. Bye.